What's going on here? There we go. Hi, now we're live. Hi, friends. My name's Mia Park, and I'm having this interview series called In Response: Interviews with Intriguing Internalizers. And I want to welcome you to my Facebook page, to my YouTube channel for watching. Thank you so much for tuning in. It is June 3rd, 2020. The world is the world is in a really particular state right now in time and space, and I am enjoying having the opportunity to talk to really neat people. Oh, it says interesting. One says an error occurred, that we're not live, but then someone else says we're live. I'm so sorry for the technical difficulties. So I am going to go ahead and great. So hi, friends. We're about 53 seconds into it in one format, so I'm going to start over again. So technical difficulties, we're live. It's 2020. So anyway, if you're just tuning in, or if I'm just tuning into you, my name's Mia Park. Hi, this is my interview series, Interviews with Intriguing Internalizers. And it is June 3rd, 2020, and the world is in a very interesting state right now. I have had the opportunity to talk to really interesting friends and family members who I think bring unique perspectives about how they process the outside world to you. And today we have Virginia Drake, also Ginny. So I know her as Ginny, but Ginny is in Kentucky and is a fascinating human being. I've worked with Ginny. I've been one of Ginny's clients, and she is just dialed into a really subtle plane of energy that most people are not dialed into. And so I'm really excited to talk to you, Ginny. Hi, welcome.
Thank you for inviting me over.
Oh, of course, sure. So is there anything else that you would like people to know about you?
That I think I'm getting wiser and smarter. And, I'm almost 69 years old, and 69 has been a very big opening for me because I'm not in the middle of, raising children. I have really settled myself into who I really am. And I really do like me. And I didn't really know I liked me very much at one time because I had a lot of judgment, but I am very happy to be where I am. And even where we're in these conditions right now, I feel very blessed to have this time to be with me. And I've had some wonderful opportunities to be me. I'm not just Jenny the healer or Virginia the healer. I'm really me. That's exciting for me.
Oh, that's nice. Mm-hmm. Oh, there's the big echo.
Oh,
yeah. Do you by chance have Facebook or YouTube open on your computer?
No.
No? Okay, we'll just roll with it. I heard it for a second. It's fine. It's live. We're dealing with it. Okay, so, well, thanks for telling us more about you. If you want to read more about Ginny's bio, you can see that in the captions on Facebook or on YouTube. So I like to ask people in this series about the outside world and then about their inside world. So can you tell us a little bit about what's going on where you are outside now, and then what's going on with you where you are inside now?
Okay, well, right outside of me in Kentucky, I live in Kentucky, and we're all having a real change by having to go to the grocery with a mask. I have not had to do that because my neighbors next door, they're younger and they have gone to get anything I wanted. People just drop in, they drink, they bring things. I'm very blessed. For the work that I do, people stop in and they'll say, I just wanted to leave this. I wanted to show you this, or I've got, I'll be on the phone with them. But that's where I'm at because I think where we are right now, Kentucky. Now, I know in Louisville, Kentucky, they had some really bad situation, but I didn't hear any of that. But I don't get involved in all of that outside. I do most of my work inside, and I have a private, business, and I'm on the phone more than anything. So, no, I don't see there's been a big change, but yet I know everybody outside of me, it's been a big change. So that's where I'm on the outside. It's still, and what I've noticed is this, there is a change in how I feel when I go out. I feel more responsible. And I even ask myself, why do I feel more responsible? that's because of the environment that has been given us. So we have to be very conscious. Is this our program or is this really me? So I'm in my conflict with me and them. So I really want to be me. So that's where I'm at with my outside.
Can you say more about who them is
Well,
when you
then would
say?
be our government, constrictions, the rules. We didn't have that before, and I'm almost 69. So this has really thrown even my students. I was a teacher. My students even. None of us have ever experienced this. This is something that we're all experiencing together for the first time all over the world. So what an opportunity for all of us to really see this from a whole different perspective, and not through fear, but opportunities to change. And that's where I'm seeing it, very much so.
So, because right now there are a lot of global concerns going on, and I haven't specified, I want to leave it open. When you say responding to it globally, what specifically do you have in mind?
I think in general is, are we going to be more responsible for each other and open our hearts more and be less judgmental? Because we've been isolated all over the world, but this is not an isolation anymore. We're all in this together. So we can open our hearts and we don't have to worry about the writing. I really believe it takes a few of us, but the more that we do that, the more the energy of the earth around us really does change. And it changes with us. And I truly believe that.
Okay, so you started answering the next question, or the question I last asked about what's going on inside of you internally as an internalizer. Do you want to speak more about that? Or
Well, I think looking at that is, I never thought I was going to be 69 because I've had 8 near-death experiences. So I really, this last, when you saw me, I had already lost, I had a very close shave in last June. And it was like, this is it. I'm not going to get to finish out. And then obviously I'm refinishing a lot of things I never got to finish because I never had the time to do it. So now I've opened up my heart deeper, and I realized I missed a lot of things because my programming had overridden my spiritual understanding. And now I'm unraveling a lot of that and saying, wow, that's why I don't want to miss that again. So this is where I'm coming from, is like, I really don't want to miss anything. I'm almost 69. I don't want to miss anything. Even if you have deemed it as bad or good, there's no such thing as that. It's an opportunity. That's where I'm at.
got that. So when you talk about, you just said a lot of words that I think maybe people who see this don't understand what that means to you. So there's a lot to unpack, but it's you. Jenny has a lot of energy. She's a very deep person. There's a lot going on. Let me ask the next question, and that might help answer my what I just mentioned. So what kind of philosophical or spiritual response, if you can say more about that? So we've got, I feel like we're talking in general, just to be specific now, today in time and space, there are a lot of uprisings in protest against the systematic killing of Black people, and just to hold the racial injustice that has been a long time problem. Then we've got this global health pandemic with this respiratory contagious disease.
Right.
So it seems to me those are both global pandemics that are finally being looked at right now. So I don't know if that's all the same thing to you, or what you feel like responding to, or how you're responding.
Well, I've looked at this because I was in the 60s and I was against the war in Vietnam. And I stood very strongly in that. And I realized what I'd done is I really didn't give it with the love that I needed to give it. I was angry and angst and the injustice of what went on. And I think I'm feeling this all over the world. There's an injustice, but we've got to look at the injustice first within ourselves. It's so much deeper, because when I was in Vietnam, demonstrating in Vietnam about Vietnam, I had some really deep friends involved in that, and they're on that wall. And every time I go, and I used to take my students to DC, I would fall to that wall. But I realized also I'm only honoring their death there. I've got to remember, I have to honor their life. And we forget about, let's honor the life, not just associate to the death. And that's where I'm seeing a lot of people, and I understand they're angry, but I have friends that are Black. And I mean, I called them out myself personally. And you know what they said? They said, we're souls, Jenny. We're not black and white. We're souls. And we've got to remember we're souls first. And we have to move that outside of us and really go down into the depth, because I think that's the only way we're all going to get through this, is we look past our flesh and look at our spiritual being self and how we can clear it up first. That's where I'm at with it.
Okay. Okay. Well, thanks for that. So when you talk about people having to go beyond the flesh and just to see themselves as souls first, how do you recommend somebody start on that path? Because there's a large outcry for people to want to connect to something more comfortable or safe or bigger than themselves, because there's so much fear in the world now. Like, how would you suggest that someone starts on that inward journey?
The first thing is breath. The breath is the most essential thing. And I had to practice for 6 or 7 months to learn how to breathe. And breath has a pathway. It has an understanding, and it's alive. And I don't think people realize how important breath is. I mean, everybody says, well, I breathe. No, there's a difference breath when you take it into your soul and into your mind and your body. That's a whole different experience. So it's a practice with the breath. It took me 6 or 7 months to learn how to breathe correctly and to take one nostril to the next nostril. And I got so good that I can do that without ever even thinking at it. I automatically put myself in, but I have learned to go so deep in my beingness that I can create anything I want, because it is yourself doing it, as well as bringing in that life force that you never even realized it was real. That's why I knew you had energy and you were capable of healing yourself. And I wish people would start looking at that, because that's powerful when you can do that within yourself. And I've done it.
I do hear you on that. I agree. I feel like we can't heal anyone else unless we can heal ourselves. But it's not a linear step. It's not like I come completely first and when I'm done I heal you. It's starting with you and reaching out to others. I feel like the journey starts here, but the journey's still with other people, even though it starts here. That's what I think.
Well, I think when I do really deep inside of me, I start loving everybody outside of me.
Yeah.
Because you open up and you soften in your soul and in your heart, because it's not an organ. The heart is not an organ. It's a heart space. And as you open that heart space, you open up the space around everybody, and then they're all connected. You can feel people change, because, well, when I call people, they say, I felt you. And you and I have been close together, and you know that I'm working with you in Kentucky, but you're in Chicago, but we have a connection. We
That's
don't have
right.
with physical means. We don't have to have that. We truly do understand there is a spiritual connection. And the more that people can understand that, think of what we build over the fear, and we stop it. To me, that's why I came back. I didn't have to come back, but I chose to.
Uh, so you just, again, when you talk, I know you, so that makes sense. I think I can hear people's brains going, what is she talking about? Came back? What does she mean heart space? But I do want to make a comment that Flowering Ananda, I don't know if you can see the comment. She said, hi, Virginia. I Googled you because I watched Consciousness Continues and read the book, and you really affected me. I live in Frankfort, Kentucky. And I
Oh,
think her sentence cut off. She said, I had a spiritual
yeah, I
something.
was in a movie.
So thank you, Flowering Ananda. Thanks.
Thank you.
So that's, yeah, Ginny has worked with many people over decades, and a lot of, Ginny's like a person who's always been wanting to help people. So in a lot, I've had a lot of people know you. So thanks for giving us kind of that tip on how people can get started through the breath. And I don't want to make the rest of this interview about technique, but
Right.
if there are like, so you talked about, it's hard for me to unpack because you say such big ideas, you have such these amazing ideas. So when you talk about people like going beyond who they are and getting into their soul, and that they can start to do that through the breath, I feel like I wonder how people how can people access that more? I guess I am asking technique after all. Like if people just want to get started and they want to learn how to breathe, like what does that look like? What would you tell somebody?
Well, how I started was I was a scientist and I was a teacher and I was in the left brain. I remember because I had a heart attack. What started me when I was 46, I had a massive heart attack and had a near death experience. But I learned to just ponder. Pondering is I would sit in a chair and I would ponder thoughts, but it wasn't like I was trying to figure it out. I was just feeling it go through my body. And I think, wow, that is energy. And every thought I was thinking was energetic. And then I realized I knew about the electromagnetic field. I know that that's what the healing part of us is. And when I really understood the quantum of it, that we're light, why are we all playing in low, as small with words? Because to me, words are very flat. But when you feel somebody through their soul or their eyes or sparkle, you feel something. And that's what I get off of is feeling, oh, look at that. I feel that. Like when I first met you, Mia, we kicked in real fast. We were in, and it was just, it's so nice to dance with somebody on a different level. And you don't have to dance with your flesh. You dance with your soul.
That's right. And so that's, again, if you're watching, it's like, what is she talking about? If you just email Ginny, her email address is on Facebook there, YouTube there, and you'll get a better understanding.
Yes.
So I did want to ask what your internal response is to the health pandemic going on, because we talked about race and we talked about going beyond the flesh to get to the soul. How do you translate that into a medical issue that's happening?
Well, because I think everything is frequency. And I know how to use frequency to raise it up. And I'm a scientist. I know that all bacteria and viruses, they have a lower consciousness than we are. So the more I can raise my consciousness and raise my frequency, I can be protected by that because it can't enter anything through my field. I mean, I haven't been sick for the last time was because it was a dehydration kind of thing. I got sodium. I lost all my sodium. But I had to learn that. That was a great lesson for me to learn how to utilize the electricity in the body. And so I know that we are electrical. And that's more important that you understand. You're electrical. So you got to ground. So that's how it works.
Okay. So do you, Flowering Ananda said some more things.
Okay.
There's probably a lot there, so you can answer her. People will often go in afterwards. You could probably answer her on YouTube after that. You can type the answer in. It's kind of a lot of stuff because I do want to focus on you. So, are you hopeful, Ginny?
Yes.
Are you hopeful?
Oh, absolutely, I'm hopeful. Oh my God, I wouldn't have stayed around if I did. Why would I come back? No, I think what it's done for me is opened up my heart space even more so, which is opening other people. Like I have people that I can call you, Mia, that I call you and you say, well, wait, were you checking? I'm just checking in because I can feel you. And I think that's the most, because today I had a client and a friend and I could feel her. I could feel her. She was in Chicago where you are. And I could feel her. And as she said, I'm in Chicago at my mother-in-law's, her mother-in-law died, and she's having to clean out the house. And she and I talked about the house, and she gave some experiences about her mother-in-law and father-in-law because he passed too. So she's cleaning it all out. And she said, I needed you to call me because she said, I just needed to feel that somebody could feel me. And I said, well, I just felt you all over because the house was still, feeling it because everything is energy. And we had probably about a 45-minute conversation, and we had a little cry together and opened our hearts even more for that opportunity for her. And she's got, I think there's some type of meeting of Black Lives Matter. And she asked me about that. And I said, do you feel you could go there with your heart and your soul and not get into fear or get into anger and hold light for these people, for them to feel that it's okay to do what they feel, but not to hurt or harm anyone else with themselves? And she said, I don't know if I can. I said, then don't do anything. You can sit there and you pray for them and you hold in that visual of light. And I said, and I'll hold it with you because I'm with you. And now that I'm talking to you, Mia, I now see, we look at this right here. And then we've got a young lady we're all coming together. Why can that not be hopeful? That is the most hopeful thing that we don't need to know each other. We already know each other on a, on a different level of spirit. So why are we sitting around and worrying about the outer, knowing it's all inside the inner?
You know, what you just said, we're actually almost at about time. What you just said, I understand and agree with as a person who thinks contemplatively as well. I do think that what you said can be seen as controversial. And I've actually been going through this in my head because a lot of spiritual leaders like you and other people that I study and have studied with in their own walks of faith, a lot of people are not taking any outward action about what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are some people in the Christian faith that I think we can hear or think about that are responding to what's happening with prayer meetings or with, getting people together or out there protesting. And that's one way of kind of connecting to what's happening. I think of the Dalai Lama, who actually never wanted to have a violent reaction against China taking over his country or culture, right? I think that there's some spiritual people that are in alignment with what you're saying about keeping it inwards and doing what's authentic to you. If you can't really wholeheartedly, and if it's not in your dharma, as we say, to go out and protest, don't go out and protest because it's going to hurt
it hurts
you. You have to do what's authentic to you.
Well, that's why.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
About Vietnam, I knew I was angry. So what was I creating? But frustration and anger. So it wasn't benefiting. I want to be a beneficial to it. And that's why I would much rather be at the heart of it. I understand what they're feeling. I've been there. But I know this is more stronger on our spiritual levels than our flesh levels. So.
Right. So the connection's a little bit weird. It sounds like we're underwater, but I understand what you're saying. It might be me. I do. I believe I understood what. Yeah. I'm sorry?
Yeah, it's your mic, I think, that I'm feeling.
Okay, it's a connection. Anyway, it's okay. We got.
It's also frequency. You've got to understand, you and I are very powerful together. Then when we add others with us, you don't think that doesn't mess up the vibration? That's what I'm saying. That's powerful.
It is powerful. No, I hear you. That's quantum physics, isn't it? It is all energy. It's all energy. Well, we are at time, Ginny. Thank you so much for joining. I know 20 minutes is a little drop in the bucket, especially talking to you. But is there any last thing that you want to add before we sign off?
Open up your hearts. Be not judgmental. Let them all feel what they need to feel, but hold them in a higher consciousness and let them feel it. Let everybody feel it, but we can hold even stronger in that love and not in judgment. That's what I would like.
Open up your heart. That is a lovely sentiment. Lovely sentiment. Well, thanks so much, Ginny. So this is Ginny Drake, everyone. Do email her if you're remotely curious. She's an excellent communicator. She loves to talk. So you can email her. And me too. We talk.
That's why we do well together.
I'm sorry, what?
I said, that's why we do well together. We both like to talk.
Oh, that's why we do all together. That's right. The people that like to talk. And we have a lot to say.
We are the frequencies, too.
That's right. So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. I'm Mia Park. I'm coming at you from Chicago. Ginny's in Versailles. I'm sorry, Versailles. Kentucky. Versailles is a place in France. They taught me. Versailles is a place in France. Versailles is in Kentucky.
Amen. That's exactly
Amen.
Right.
All right. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thanks.